Hey everyone, how are you going? My name's Carl and I'd like to welcome you to Porter's Paints. Today I'm going to be showing you one of our products, liquid iron and instant rust. We'll be painting one of these pots here and I'll be showing you how to get the best results out of our product and getting a really amazing, fantastic finish. Okay, so the first thing that I've done with this pot that I've just bought at the local hardware shop is I put an undercoat onto it. Undercoat's really easy to put on, it's just brush on. One coat will do the job. If it's unpainted, then you might want to put on a couple of coats. And what I've done too is I've just put a little bit of black into the undercoat just to give it a grey colour, which helps with the coverage of the coats of paint that I'm going to put over the top. Undercoat's really easy to put on. It's a water-based undercoat, washes up in water, dries pretty quickly. And for these pots, all I've done, it's a line-proof undercoat sealer by the way, all I've done is I've just brushed it on, a nice thin coat so it just covers, like so. Just crisscross it on, really work it into the surface, make sure it covers the whole area and make sure it's completely dry before we put on our next coat. Now I get my liquid iron. This is your base coat. It's an acrylic paint with iron filings in it. We're going to put on two coats, but to start off with we're just going to put on the first coat, which is going to be brushed on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this first coat on, I'm going to leave it to dry, completely dry, and when it's totally dry, which should take about 12 hours, I'm going to come back and put on the second coat. As soon as that second coat is touch dry, which could be anywhere between half an hour to a couple of hours, I'm going to put on an acid solution. I'm going to let that acid solution react, and I'm going to come back and put on another coat of the acid solution, and I should get a really fantastic rusted finish. So I've put on my first coat of liquid iron over the top of the line-proof undercoat sealer. I left it for 12 hours, 12 long hours, and it's completely dry. So now it's time to put on our second coat of liquid iron. Once again, really easy to do. I'm just going to go over what I've already done. Using the brush gives it a really nice texture and it just fills in all the little gaps that I've missed on the first coat. Okay, so I've got two coats of my liquid iron down on the pot. First coat I let dry for 12 hours. Second coat that I've put on, I've let it dry until it's touch dry. That's usually around half an hour to 2 hours. Way to test it is just put your fingers on the surface and make sure nothing comes off on your fingers. I'm going to be putting some acid solution on top of this today, which is the instant rust solution. It's an acid solution. You need to cover your fingers and hands, make sure you're wearing some goggles as well. It's water-based, but just be careful with it. Obviously don't get it in your eyes, don't get it on your skin. Give it a bit of a shake. We'll pour some in here. It's a beautiful colour. And we're going to brush a very thin film over the entire surface. I'm going to let it react and dry, and then I'm going to put a second coat over the whole surface. I'm just going to do the whole pot in one coat. I think I'll come back in an hour or two, have a look at it. We'll look at it together. If it's reacted and dried, then I'll put a second coat of this on the top. Okay, so I went down to the hardware shop. I got myself a cheap terracotta pot. I've undercoated it. I've put on two coats of the liquid iron. As soon as the second coat was touch dry, I brushed on some of the instant rust solution. I let that react, and because I want a much stronger reaction, I brushed on a second coat of the instant rust. You can see here now it's just starting to take off. It's starting to look really rusty and old. And if I leave it, it's going to keep getting more and more rusty. You see more oranges and browns coming through, until eventually it'll dry. It'll look absolutely unbelievable. So it'll look something like this, which you can do with these little bits of MDF. They're really easy to do. You can buy them unpainted, just put some undercoat on, and the process you've already seen. You can do it with bits of metal. Just make sure you use the right undercoats. And another really important tip too is, once this is dried, it's real rust. It'll come off on your fingers, it'll come off on your clothes. If you put it outside and you get rain on it, it'll stain whatever's beneath it. Now, if you don't want that to happen, you need to leave this for about 3 days, let it neutralize, wash all the acid solution off, let it dry, and brush on a couple of coats of instant rust clear sealer. And that'll stop it leaching all over the place. But you can just leave it like that. As long as no one's touching it, it'll look fantastic. Thanks for your company. I'll see you next time.